So what I saw was the Lord allowed me to see his death and his resurrection. But I have to say that it was a long time ago that I had these two experiences. It was two separate ones, because I am going to try to do my best to recall everything that I saw. So anyway, I was walking through my house and all of a sudden I saw an angel. So anyway, this angel was an African American angel, and she had a short afro. She was thin, of course, like any angels I've ever seen. And she had on a really like a oversized gown. It wasn't fitting or anything like that. And she crossed her legs, and she had her hands crossed, and then she was opening her hands and bowing at the same time. And she said, "Behold." And I'm seeing this angel clear as day in my house, like, what on earth? Behold. So I kept walking because I was already walking. And all of a sudden, my whole living room, I have two living rooms, and all of a sudden, both living rooms, it's normally a wall separating both living rooms, and the wall was gone, and I was back in time. I was back in Jesus' day. When I went into this vision, I could not remember at all who I was. And that whole memory was taken from me. I didn't know that Jesus was the Son of God. Yeah, I'm gonna do a tell-all in this video. I didn't say a lot before. So I couldn't remember who I was at all. And I'm in this vision, and I'm looking at Jesus on this cross. And as I'm looking at him on this cross, I'm reliving seeing him on the road to Calvary. I remember looking, as I'm looking at him, I was thinking about what all they did to him, how they beat him and everything, and all the blood, and it was horrific. And I was reliving all the memories of him. Whoever the Lord allowed me to be in this vision, I could remember everything that that they had did to him. It was like whoever I was in this vision, I saw like everything they had did to him. And I followed that. And I remember it was like a journey. It was like things happening in different locations. And I remember following along as all of these things was happening. And so as I'm looking at him on this cross, I was reliving all of that. I was reliving everything they did to him, and I was crying profusely. And I kept thinking, how could they do this to such a nice, and I remember those words exactly, nice, gentle man. I was like, he was so kind, and he was just so good, and all he did was help people and do miracles. And how could they do this to him? And I remember the way that I felt, it was like he was so innocent and almost childlike. And I was thinking, how could they do this to someone like that? He was like, the way that I imagine it is like if you have a 2-year-old child and you imagine this 2-year-old child being beat like that and being nailed to a cross. It was like he was so innocent. And especially if you have children, you just imagine like this innocent child. Like, I mean, of course it's not a child, but he was so innocent. I'm staring at him on this cross, and I'm also reliving seeing him doing all kind of different miracles. I remember one miracle that I can still see in my head right now is I saw him raise this boy from the dead. Now, the boy looked to me to be about 14. When I thought about this dream after I recorded, after the experience, I left it out of the first recording. I thought it was Lazarus. But then I thought about it. Lazarus had all kinds of wrappings around him. He would have looked mummified, and this child did not look that way. It looked to me like he came off some type of a gurney. And I saw him raise this boy from the dead. And I saw all kinds of miracles that he did that I can't even remember everything right now, but I'm in my mind because in the vision, I didn't even know who I was. So I didn't know to retain this stuff, I would have been retaining everything had I known, but I was just thinking, I was just normally thinking. And I'm like, all the stuff they did to him, all of the miracles he did. I'm reliving his stuff, seeing all these miracles and stuff. And his teachings, I remember that. And things he said. And I remember thinking about things he said and how he was nice to evil people that was mean to him and all of that. He was just so gentle and loving and kind and nice. And so as I'm looking at him on this cross, I'm crying profusely. I'm emotional, but I was able to stand up straight, but I could not take my eyes off of him. I would not take my eyes off of Yeshua for nothing. I was staring at him the whole time until there was a cry that was so strong. You could feel it. The pain was so thick that you could literally feel the pain in the air. And that was the one time I looked. I turned to my my left side. I turned to my left and I looked and I saw this woman, and she was being held by one woman on her left side. One woman on her left side was holding her. And I believe, yeah, it was a man. It was a man. Before I was like, I'm not sure, but I know it was a man. It was a man on her right side. But the reason I wasn't that sure because I thought his hair was a little bit was long, which I thought was odd. But anyway, he had his hair down to like his shoulders, and it was brown. But he was holding her arm on one side, and it was a lady holding her on the other, her arm on the other side. And the woman, I looked and I said, oh, that's his mother. And then I turned around like that and looked back at him. Like that was the only time I looked. And in that quick glance, I saw these two people holding her. And then also she was wearing all black, and she was not skinny, but she definitely was not fat either, but she just had some meat on her, but not fat or skinny. And she was just, she couldn't even hardly stand. She was crying so much. It was so deep. And I was crying a lot too. I was crying, but she couldn't even stand. At least I was standing, but I was just staring at him, just crying profusely. Even as I'm speaking this, I could almost still I can almost still feel the tears on my face. It was just covered, and it was just so bad. So I want to explain how I'm looking at him, and I'm expecting this whole time because I knew he was a miracle worker. I'm thinking about all these miracles. I'm like, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come up from there. He's gonna get up from there. You know, I was really hoping, and I remember even thinking about him talking about his father. He would talk about his father, and I would say, well, where's his father? Can somebody save him? Anybody? Can somebody get him and help him? Anybody? You know, that's how I was thinking, and I thought he was going to perform a miracle. I expected him to come back, and he just wouldn't come back. And that's why I remember staring at his face for any flicker of life. He had his head turned to the left, and I was looking for his eyes to twitch or move or anything. I'm looking for any sign of life in the world that I could see. And so anyway, I never saw one. And I want to go into explaining the scenery. So Jesus on that cross, he looked like a homeless man that you would pass on the street. He looked like definitely that he was like the type of man that you would probably walk across the street from, because he just looked homeless. And he had brown hair, dark brown hair. It was down to I want to say his shoulders, but it looked like it was definitely, well, not looked like, it was matted with blood. It was matted with blood. And there was a patch missing of hair out of his beard. And it was after this vision that the Lord told me in my spirit, he spoke to me very loudly, and he said, they ripped the hair out of my beard. When I saw him, what I didn't explain before is his jaw to me looked like it was almost hanging a little bit. It looked like it was kind of hanging like he was turned to the left, and it kind of looked like his jaw was hanging a little bit, just a little bit, like it was out of joint or something. I don't know. But, or if that's just the way he really looked. I'm not sure about that, but he was bruised a lot, and it was a lot of blood. It was horrific. It was really, really bad. I've heard people say that he was nude. He was not nude. He had something on his loins. He didn't have on anything other than that, but he had on like his underwear. He did have on that. And when I saw him, I don't remember what the nails looked like because I was grieving so much. I can't remember what the nails looked like. And the thorns on his head were really thick. I want to say that they were, well, they was long too, not like the movies. I want to say that they were about 3.5 inches in length. 1, 2, 3, 3.5 to 4 inches in length, not like the little 1.5 inches in a movie. And they was thick. I want to say that they was like 1.5 inches thick, 1.5 inches thick, I want to say, in diameter. So they was not thin ones. And these thorns, as thick as they were really pressed good on his head. Like he was bleeding from his head. So yeah, it was horrible. And you just imagine, I know any Christians that hears this, you love the Lord, but you have to understand, when I had this vision, I knew that he was so innocent. And you read in the Bible how he called people vipers and everything like that. But I'm telling you, in this vision, I felt like he was like this innocent, pure, spotless, like he was the most gentle, nice, like you don't harm him. He's so pure. I can't even explain it. I feel like I'm overly explaining it because I feel like I'm not explaining it the way that I need to, but I'm lost for words. So please forgive me for that. And then the only people I saw, I was at the foot of the cross, and I was there, and the other people I saw, and we was the only people at the foot of the cross. There was other people in back of us as well. And I have to explain the cross because many people may have debated the cross. And I want to say that they're both right. Because what I saw clear as day is a tree. It was clear as day. It was a tree on a hill. And this hill was it was above my head. Jesus's feet was above my head. So this hill was a hill. It wasn't like some of the movies I've seen where they say, oh no, he was right there and he was right in front of you. I don't know where they say Jesus died. And if that's what they're saying, that's not what I saw. He was up on a hill. It was not a really tall hill, but his feet was above my head some distance. I want to say maybe, I know before I said 10 to 20 feet is what I said before. So I'm going to stick to that because as of right now, I can't remember. I thought maybe not even 5 feet is what I would think now, but I'm going to go with what I originally said, which was 10 to 20 feet. So anyway, he was above my head. But I was grieving so much, like I said, I wasn't really trying to jot down all the details like that. But they're both right because it was a tree, but it was a cross on a tree. They put the cross on a tree, okay? So they need to get the movies right. And it wasn't a, piece of plywood perfectly cut. It looked like they really just hacked off some wood off another tree, just hacked it off. It wasn't cut perfectly at all. And they just put Jesus on this cross. Okay? And it was just so real. Oh my God, help us, Jesus. Help me to say this, God. It was so real. I don't remember seeing any stars in the sky. But it was so real. I was there. It was so real. And so anyway, I remember this crow came over and sat on the right side of the cross where his arm and hand was. And I would love to remember was the hole in his hand or his wrist, because every time I've seen Jesus, I do not have clarity on where that hole is. My daughter has seen him, but she saw him when she was 4 and she's 6. She's about to be 7. And she says the hole is in his wrist. So, but that was such a long, she was 4. So I would say I don't know if 100% because it was a long time ago. I would like to see it for myself. And I can't remember. But anyway, a crow came over on the cross, and I remember it looked at Jesus and it looked up, and it kept doing that, looking at him and looking up, like it was trying to figure out what he was doing. Like, is he about to rise, or what is he doing? And then that's all I saw. It was looking and looking at him and looking up. So that's what I saw. Anyway, I pray I gave everything. Oh yeah, his feet was crossed. His feet was nailed, definitely nailed to the cross. And it was on some kind of look like a platform that was sitting on his feet or something, is what I remember. And his legs was crossed. And he did have, well, I'm not even going to go there. Well, maybe I should. He had light skin, okay? His mom had light skin too. They, I'm sorry. I'm not going to say I'm sorry, but that's what I saw. I wouldn't say he looked white. He's never looked white to me anytime I've ever seen him, but he looked like he's mixed with something. Like maybe he's mixed with a lot of different races for all we know. I don't know, but he looked mixed. He always looks mixed with something because his hair is too thick to just be white. So anyway, that's what I saw. Then later when I was at work, I saw his resurrection. I was at work. I don't know how many, if this was like a month or 2 or whatever. Now, the first vision, the differences is, and I didn't explain this before, is the first one, it felt like I was really there. I was there. The second one, when I saw him resurrected, it looked like he was just showing it to me. So it didn't really feel like I was actually there. And all I saw, I was at work, and I used to worship and praise God at work all the time. I had my own office and my lunch break. I was desperate for God. And I would close the door on my lunch break and I would worship the Lord. And I would go into these visions sometimes. And actually, the first time Jesus came to me and visited me, I was at this same job at work. And I had the door closed and I was worshiping the Lord. And I was on my face. But anyway, so I'm at work worshiping God, minding my business. It's my lunch break. And then I went into this vision and I saw Jesus when he rose from the dead. I saw him. I know probably a lot of other things happen here and there, but I'm just saying what he showed me. I saw him at the tomb, and he was just like coming out of the tomb, and he was leaning to the left of the tomb, and the tomb had already been rolled away. He was leaning to the left, and he let me read his mind. And he said, I'm about to change the world. And it was sunny outside. It was, and it could be sunny up until like 6 o'clock for all we know. I don't know what time of the day it was. I would love to know what time of the day it was. But it was sunny outside. And it was bright sunny. And so that's what I saw. It could be bright sunny at 6 o'clock. So I don't know what time. And he had a smile on his face, but it wasn't like a teeth smile. It was like a half smile, and you could see the joy in his eyes. And he said, I'm about to change the world. And he was wearing all white, and he was so beautiful. And he didn't look anything like he did on the cross. Like, he looked like he had a glorified body. And I didn't explain that before, but I'm going to explain it now. I've seen him both ways, and I saw him this time. His hair was beautiful. Before, it was all matted with blood. It was terrible looking. He was really skinny. When I saw him on the cross, I forgot to say that he was so skinny. When he rose, he looked on the cross, he looked like a homeless man. But when he rose, his body was perfect. He on his blazing white gown, blazing white, almost blinded. It was so white. And he had on, but it wasn't not like abnormally white, but like the whitest white you can think to get something on this earth. Anyway, I love you all dearly. God bless each and every one of you. I pray that you receive this into your heart and know that God was a spotless lamb. There was no blemish in him. God bless you. Bye.